This is the Fiji Cube 38-gallon Peninsula. I've been running this for the last 4 months and decided to review this tank. Now, I'm not exactly an equipment review guy, but this tank is not as popular as some of the other all-in-one brands. So I thought I would make a review video since there's probably not that many out there for this. Now, I've had enough time with this to kind of figure out the ins and the outs of the aquarium. And bottom line is, I'm not sure I would totally recommend this tank to everyone, but I do really like some things about it, and other things might be a deal breaker for some of you. So this review is just on the hardware of the tank. As far as the update to this tank, a quick update, I'm really not happy with the amount of coral I have in here. Things are touching, things aren't happy. The sand bed's littered with coral. This tank is going to become my secondary tank, and I've ordered a new tank that I will be probably producing a shitload of content for. Long story short, the reason we were going to move has been pretty much canceled by the city. So we're gonna stay here another 2 years. So I'm not gonna go full 170 gallon like my last tank. I ordered a 80-gallon water box. This tank is gonna get moved over to the window like my old 25. That I'm really excited about because I have not set up a tank from scratch for a long time. My last 170 gallon was an upgrade from a Red Sea Reefer 450, which was an upgrade from a 40 gallon. So each time I upgrade, I kind of piecemealed together what I already had with new stuff. This one I'm going to do pretty much start fresh with mostly new rock, and this tank will kind of get thinned out and kind of be my repository for frags, because I really hate frag racks in this tank, and there's always frag racks in this tank. But more on that later. Quick overview on this tank. I bought this tank because I wanted a larger all-in-one tank with the feel of a larger style tank. So most all-in-one tanks are kind of cubish, and I didn't want that. I wanted something that had the feel of a larger tank with those kind of dimensions, which I feel this has. It has very similar dimensions to a 40-gallon breeder, which I think is the perfect dimensions for a smaller tank, but it looks cleaner and it has the built-in overflow chamber, so I thought it would be a no-brainer. It is a little expensive. I think I paid $650-ish for it shipped, and that is without the stand. I built my own stand out of 40/40 aluminum bars, so I can't speak to how good their stands are, but looking at some of the reviews online though, I think their stands are probably not the best. If you want to see how I built this stand, I think I have videos on that for prior builds, so I'm not going to go over that now. This tank is built out of low iron glass. It has nice beveled edges with black silicone, and it has a little Fiji Cube logo in one of the top corners. I found the glass work and the silicone work in my tank to be pretty good. I'm not sure if the quality control on Fiji Cube is good or not, because I have a sample size of 1, but I have no complaints on the build quality on the glass. I did see some people online say that they got their tank with scratches, probably from the factory. I double checked mine and it came scratch free and appears to be very well built. The filter chamber has this black nylon wrap around the sides and back, which is pretty standard. One thing I don't like is you can see from here over, they overlap the black nylon about 1 inch into the tank, which I guess is good if you want to hide some stuff, but I think it takes away from the overall appearance of the tank. So I was thinking of putting a straight edge down the side of this and removing that strip. As for the filtration chamber in the back, there's an overflow in one of the corners, and then down on the bottom of that is another grill intake that comes with a cover, so you can keep it fully open or close it. I close that one mostly off, maybe just a little bit open, because I don't really care about bottom pull. Basically, I want everything to go through the surface skimmer. So the water from that bottom grill comes up this little chamber here and meets with the surface skimmer. They combine and drain into this overflow box, which goes under this baffle and then over this baffle. So there's two baffles here, through the filtration chamber, which goes under this baffle and then over another baffle into the return, which then pumps out. So the tank came with a pre-cut leveling mat to put down on your stand. It was a little tricky because it was rolled up, but I just taped the four corners to the stand, put the tank on there, and then shimmied the tape out from under the stand. And it worked pretty well. It's pretty lined up, can't really tell. No sides sticking out. So how I have this running is I have my auto top off line come in the overflow, and this is my Alpha Reef dosing line. In the center chamber, I run a UV filter and my heater. And then in the return line, I have my auto top off and the stock return pump. So the stock return pump I've actually enjoyed. It's a Fiji Cube branded pump. I'm sure they didn't make it, but just kind of ordered a pump and kind of made it their own. At 100%, this thing pumps out way too much flow. I've dialed it back to about 30%, and I mean, it still provides a good amount of flow in the tank. I think if you didn't care about random flow, the return pump alone could provide enough flow in the tank for LPS and softies. The thing I don't like about that though is this back chamber is pretty small for the volume of this tank. So when you crank that up, there's so much flow going through this overflow box that if you put any kind of mechanical filtration like the sock or the filter, the surface area that it would go over in that filter is so low that it would probably clog within a few minutes. So then as that filled up from being clogged, it would drop the level in the return section and then kick on your auto top off. Then when you take the filter out, it comes up and then kind of overflows. So I have it dialed back, and I don't run mechanical filtration in here for that reason. The stock filter sock that it came with, I think is like a 50 micron sock. It's nylon, but it's very, very fine. I found it almost useless because the flow coming through here is so high that it clogs immediately. I think it was designed for some of their smaller 10, 15 gallon tanks. On a 40 gallon tank, you're either gonna have to run the return so low or get a larger mesh size sock. So this is one of the major gripes with this tank. So I've removed my dosing lines to show you. Most all-in-ones are gonna have a glass rim or plate where you can put your filtration in. This tank has nothing, but instead they give you a kind of ad hoc filter sock that you put in. So you can put that in. Problem is there's room around the edges, so it's not really capturing everything unless you really push it over. There's little screws to tighten it here, but they never sent me the screws. And when I emailed them about it, because there was some other missing pieces, they said they were gonna send it, but never did. I followed up a few times and never heard a thing. As you can see, I put this filter sock in and my auto top off is already going. So I'm gonna take that out before it overflows. But you can see, small sock for a 40 gallon tank, kind of a cheap add-on afterthought in my opinion. So it also came with this media basket. The problem is this basket is so small compared to the filtration chamber. I mean, there's plenty of room on the sides. It barely takes up maybe 2/3 of this chamber. You'd think the idea would be to have all of the water go through this so it goes through all the media. Basically what this is just a place to hold your bags, and even then it's gonna diffuse even slower than just hanging the bag in there. As you can see, there's supposed to be little clips to hang this on the edge. but that was another thing I never got sent. So you can see if I clip that on there, water could still go around it. Probably fits one of their smaller tanks perfectly. And then they probably threw it in this tank just so they could say that it comes with all these really nice accessories that don't really do anything. Now, I'm not too upset about that because I don't really run a lot of mechanical filtration or even like GFO or any of that kind of media. So it doesn't really matter to me because I'd rather just run the UV. It would be nice to throw some filter socks or some floss in here after a big water change, but this tank doesn't stay cloudy very long with all the soft coral mouths in the tank. Now here is my biggest issue with the build quality on this tank. You can see there's a glass box here that's siliconed in. It's got glass baffles here, down here, here and here. But this entire piece across the front is acrylic. And the acrylic is siliconed to the glass. And if you know anything about acrylic and silicone, acrylic doesn't stick to the silicone very well. Now, it's only been 4 months and this return chamber acrylic part has started to warp. And look at this. As you can see, this thing is completely loose. The silicone line has come undone and this is kind of just hanging there. I don't think it's gonna fail completely because there is this glass from here to here. But if it's warped this much in 4 months, who knows what's gonna happen within the next year. This side is still on there pretty well. There's glass here, but if that curls and breaks away, it can really like reduce the amount of space that this top weir and then the bottom weir have to mix. But for now, it seems to be working okay. Any spillage from that crack is likely overcome by the amount of water flow pumping out of this chamber. So it's not really like failing, but just the fact that I paid $650 and this thing is loose within 4 months is kind of telling of the crappy design of this tank. Now I emailed customer service about how loose this is about a week ago and haven't heard anything. Maybe they'll respond, maybe they won't, but I mean, that's just a crappy design. All you would really have to do is just silicone a piece of glass here to kind of support it, or just use black glass like every other company that makes all-in-ones. So quick update, I left a review on Fiji Cube's website about the tank and that back chamber. So I posted that review on their site on Sunday. It is now Wednesday and the review is gone. So don't take the reviews on their site seriously because if you put anything lower than 4 stars, they will delete it. I think mine was 3 stars out of 5, and I just talked about how the back came loose, and they decided to delete it. So they've probably seen my email and still haven't responded. I do feel like this middle chamber has plenty of size to put in like a UV filter in your heater. You could probably get a small skimmer in here if that's something you want to do. Run media bags. I wouldn't recommend using the one that comes with it, like a media rack. I'd probably get a custom one to go in there. But yeah, no complaints on the layout of the back, other than I feel like this overflow section should be bigger. I still can't believe that. I just think the quality is lacking in areas. I don't think I could recommend this tank outright unless you kind of know that there's a silly choice of using acrylic on the back chamber. The overflow chamber is a little small for a filter sock unless you probably use something like a 200 micron mesh filter. The return pump is great. The design is great. The glass work I think is great. It's a really nice looking tank, but there are some issues with the all-in-one filtration part. I do like this tank and I'm gonna keep it for a while. So if the back chamber gets any worse and Fiji Cube's customer service is not gonna do anything about it, what I might do is remove all the black nylon wrap, kind of remove this back chamber, put a overflow here, and then just kind of turn it into a drilled tank with a sump and all that. But for now, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So there's my review. I would only recommend it if you're aware of some of the potential issues with the back. If you've had a Fiji Cube all-in-one or this model or another model, let me know your experience with it and if you've dealt with their customer service. It seems like their customer service is one of the biggest issues with them at this point. So yeah, there you go.